All right, welcome everyone. It's a very exciting day here, and we are so thrilled to share with you our plans for the 2023 League National Conference. We will start by just kind of sharing some of the bigger conference themes, some of the all-delegate programming and performances that you can attend, as well as the all-important networking opportunities. And then we will get down into some of the nitty-gritties of the student constituency meeting sessions, what those will be all about, some of our speakers who are with us today. Then we will, talk about some special offers that the league has and others have put together for students so that we can have you join us for 3 days of amazing professional development and networking opportunities. And then we'll just talk about, ways you can get to Pittsburgh, how to finance it, because I know it can be a struggle for sure to invest in yourself and, not only make the time, but take that flight, have a hotel, all of that. So we'll talk about that. And then we will end our day just, answering any questions you all might have. So thank you all for making the time today. And I will pass it along to David.
Great. Thank you so much, Heather. And it's such a pleasure to have all of you with us. If some of you are newer to the League of American Orchestras, just a quick background that last year was the League's 80th anniversary. We were founded in 1942, actually by smaller budget orchestras, starting with a wonderful leader by the name of Lita Snow at the Kalamazoo Symphony, who saw the advantage of bringing orchestras together around mutual interests. And it was a little bit later that the larger budget orchestras got involved, particularly to repeal a tax that was put onto concert tickets during World War II. And that was a successful repeal by the advocacy of orchestras. And that's sort of how the League got started. And advocacy is still one of the biggest aspects of the League's work, in addition to professional development and leadership training. And this will be our 78th national conference. The first couple of years, it was every other year, but we have been 78 strong this year, with 2 being virtual in 2021. This conference was originally planned for 2021 in Pittsburgh to celebrate the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra's 125th anniversary. We realized, however, by summer of 2020 that would not be able to happen. And so we just postponed the conference 2 years into the future. So we are celebrating Pittsburgh Symphony's 125th anniversary 2 years late, but we're very happy to be in Pittsburgh for the conference now this year. And I will go ahead and share my screen, and I hope you found leagueconference.org, which is our main conference website. And I'll do a quick walkthrough of the overview for the conference. And so you will see that we have pre-conference activities starting on Tuesday, June the 13th. And particularly, we have 3 pre-conference seminars that you would be welcome to register for. One is on contract negotiations and musicians' collective bargaining agreements. That is actually a free webinar, except for a small fee to cover food and beverage. Then we also have 2 other webinars, seminars, one on nonprofit board governance for orchestras, and that our board chair, Doug Hagerman, and several of our board members are leading, and a second one on storytelling that's going to be led by the president of the International Storytelling Institute. So we're thrilled to have these pre-conference seminars for those who want to come in early for some 4-hour in-depth dive into those content areas. There's a networking dinner that the Volunteer Council is putting together at the Duquesne Club in Pittsburgh on that Tuesday evening. And if you've never been to Pittsburgh, it's a really fun town. It's got some great museums. I will highly recommend the Andy Warhol Museum as a native son as a place to visit while you're in Pittsburgh, but it's just got lots to do. So Tuesday evening is a free evening for people to explore Pittsburgh. And then the conference gets underway Wednesday morning, June 14th. We're having a very special tech fair this year for many, many different technology vendors. that are interested in sharing their wares with orchestras around customer relation management software, around ticketing, fundraising, whole variety of different softwares. And so that's a free tech fair on Wednesday morning for people coming in early. Our Lana administrators are our networking group for BIPOC administrators in the orchestra world. And so the Alana stands for Asian, Latin American, African American, and Native American administrators in the orchestra field. So again, they'll be getting together. We have a very active volunteer pool within our orchestra field. And so our volunteers will be having meetings. And then I'll be leading an orientation for anyone interested in learning more about the conference, particularly new members. On Wednesday afternoon at 1:30. So if you're making travel plans, be sure to get in town in time to get over to Hines Hall for the opening concert and keynote. And we are thrilled that we will have not one, but two youth orchestra performances at our opening concert, both the Pittsburgh Youth Symphony Orchestra and the Three Rivers Young People's Orchestra, as well as welcomes from the executive director and music director of the Pittsburgh Symphony, the county executive, and the mayor of Pittsburgh. And very excited that our special keynote will be the new chair of the National Endowment for the Arts, Dr. Rosaria Jackson, and we are thrilled that she said yes to come to our conference this year to be our opening keynote. Then we will have our constituency meetings where you'll have one of your student meeting blocks with the dinner break, and then our opening concert for the conference with the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra that evening. And thrilled that actually a world premiere that was planned 2 years ago to celebrate the 125th anniversary by Stacey Carup will be happening at the conference 2 years late. So I'm thrilled. And if you don't know, she's a tremendously well composer. And so we're excited to feature her at the conference concert. And then following the concert will be what is called the tune-up party. I don't know where the name comes from. It's been around for decades, but the host orchestra, after their concert, has a large party for all conference delegates to enjoy and get to know one another. And on the second day of the conference, on Thursday in the morning, have different elective sessions you can choose to go to. And again, a variety of different topics around philanthropy, around programming, around work that the Pittsburgh Symphony is doing, innovation session that the president of Mellon University, and a performance by the Hip Hop Orchestra in Pittsburgh. And we have special guests of the pianist Ray Angry that some of you may be familiar of from B. Kimmel's band. So we're excited to have him at the conference this year. And so all that will be happening on Thursday morning. Then after a lunch break, we'll have a plenary session will include our annual meeting. We'll be unveiling our new demographic survey, and we'll be giving the annual League Gold Baton Award. It's our highest award. And this year it is going to Deborah Borda, who is retiring as the CEO of the New York Philharmonic. She has over a 4-decade career leading some of the great orchestras in the country, and opened not one, not two, but 3 of our great concert halls, New York, Los Angeles, and Detroit. So we're thrilled to honor Deborah's many decades again to the orchestra field. And Jamie Bernstein, Leonard Bernstein's daughter, at Deborah's invitation, will be coming to present the award, and they'll have a conversation together about their perspectives of the orchestra field over these many decades. Then there'll be a constituency meeting again that Thursday afternoon, followed by an all delegates reception in our exhibit hall. And then that evening will be our LGBTQIA+ affinity group reception and a young professionals event happening that evening as well. So lots to do on the second day of conference. And then on Friday, the final day, we'll open with our exhibit hall continental breakfast, another positions, around programming, around the 30th anniversary of our Americanizing the American Orchestra Report. If you've never read, I encourage you to find it and be amazed. It was 30 years ago, and we're excited to go back in time to look forward what maybe the next 30 years will be involving, as well as a session that Sonia will be leading about the future of orchestras, particularly from a student perspective in 2043. So again, wonderful sessions on Friday morning, and then a final constituency meeting block. And then we're having a closing luncheon plenary where we're excited that, again, the president talk about what he has seen heard during the week at the conference. And our closing keynote speaker will be Byron Tripling, the principal pops conductor of the Pittsburgh Symphony. And for anyone staying around Friday evening, there is another Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra subscription concert that closed their season, but will be done by 2:30. So if you need to get out Friday afternoon, just plan 4:30 or later from flights from Pittsburgh's airport. And then we hope to see many of you maybe in Houston in 2024 for our 79th national conference at the Houston Symphony is hosting June 6th through the 8th. So that is all that will be happening in 3-4 packed days. Happy to answer any questions that anyone has, but looking forward to seeing many of you in conference to again, enjoy the opportunity to have 1,000 people from the orchestra field represented and gathering together to really talk about bridges to the future. Pittsburgh's the city of bridges, and so our theme is how do we take where we are today and what do we need to do to be creating the new future that we want to have for orchestras in our communities. So I'm going to stop sharing. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer those, but I will now turn it over to Heather and Sonia to talk more about the specific actual constituency meetings for students and what your agendas will be during.
Thank you so much, David. There's so much to look forward to. You know, it's just the 3 days goes so fast and you meet so many amazing people and are inspired by things that you never think you could be inspired by at a conference like this. So Sonia and I have been working hard for many, many months to, you know, figure out what the best student programming could be. So during the 3 days, each day there are 2 hours of time when just our student group gets together and we have our own little professional development while, you know, conductors are having in their closed door sessions and, you know, artistic personnel are in their own sessions. And, you know, I'm also staff liaison to the youth orchestra division and they're in another room doing their own professional development. So during the 3 days, we have many, many people and topics to get to, but it should be an exciting lineup. Sonia, would you like to kind of lead us through that?
Yeah, well, it was so great to be back in person last summer in LA to try this out for the first time, and especially Sarah, Alexis, and Kirsten, like eager to know maybe during the session, you know, what your thoughts are about last conference and going into this next one. But the way I see it is, you know, when I went to my first conference, it's overwhelming even as a professional. Like the schedule you just went through, David, like there is so much. And it's like you can be dizzied where, you know, just trying to understand where should I go? What should I prioritize? Am I going to know anybody? And so our job, as I see it, is Heather and I, you know, we want to make sure that you are so well set up to have a great conference experience. And that happens a couple of different ways. One is just now you've got people you can reach out to ask questions as you're preparing to come to Pittsburgh and looking at this. I encourage you to look at the full schedule that has all the descriptions of all the electives, which are free to pick from, and just start mapping out what interests you. You know, that's a great place to start because if it interests you, then you're going to run into people that topic interests them as well. And that's a great way to start conversation. But when we meet together on that first day, that Wednesday, what I think worked really well last year, and Travis's going to join us too is really just obviously welcome and get to know each other. Make sure you've kind of got a plan for your schedule for the next 48 hours after that, but really give you an opportunity to orient to the space of the work of orchestras. And I didn't know how orchestras work before I started working at one, and I was an oboist until I found operations. But there really is quite a landscape and context to learn about. And so our goal that first day would be to bring in some professionals that will be at the conference, do a little career day panel, a little bit how an orchestra works behind the scenes, so you can understand a lot of the terms and the context that you're going to be walking into for these elective sessions. So if you don't leave those first 2 hours with us without a plan or without a friend, then we failed. So, but I don't know, Travis, we did such an in-depth dive last time for how an orchestra works, and this time I think we're going to try to use like a career day panel to kind of engage in that content. But is there anything you think is super important to walk away with that first day, just to empower the students to have a great experience?
I think hearing people's stories, and I was really interested to hear from David just now about the storytelling session that's going to be happening. So hearing everyone's stories about how they came into the field, I feel like for me as a person starting out in the orchestra business, that was really helpful to me when I was in my 20s getting started. Like Sonia, I had no idea what I was doing until I started doing it, and just sort of learned on the job, which is the way most people get into it. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, but hearing people's stories about how they got into the field and how they've navigated challenges and opportunities, I think is really helpful. So I love this idea on this first day of doing a panel where we get multiple perspectives on how people approach this universe of orchestra management. And I'm just excited to be there with you all.
And Heather and I want to make sure you have a professional buddy. That's the goal of that first day, is that that you start to see some professionals that you know. So as you go to these networking events and you go to I mean, there's, how many registrants do we normally get, Heather and David? Like a 900 to the conference? I can't remember.
900 to 1,000. We broke 400 this week, and we still have a month before our early bird deadline.
Yeah, so that can be overwhelming when you're in the all delegate opportunities, but be bold, say hi to a new person. But we do want you to feel like you have some familiar faces going into everything. Heather, then day two, we're still kind of figuring out, but day two, we're hoping to have some collaboration with Carnegie Mellon University has a fantastic Master's of Arts Management program. And so some of their representatives are going to come over and talk about what's going on over at CMU, but also I think we're going to use their resources and their expertise and do a like a job application workshop type of session. You know, bring your resume, bring a cover letter, bring positions that you're looking and interested at, and really just dive deep and give ourselves time to sit down with each and every one of you and look over your materials so you leave feeling more confident in those areas. Also, Travis and I are working together on a really exciting new project that you'll get to hear about too. It's an online certificate, an advanced certificate in orchestra management at Lemoyne College. So we'll be able to share a little bit more about that and how you can get plugged in. Travis, anything else about that you want to share now?
Sure, I'll share that. I've been speaking with Sonia, and last year Orchestra Careers was able to, and I might be jumping a little bit ahead on the agenda here, but Orchestra Careers was able to sponsor, as Heather was talking about, how do we get there, like logistically, how as a student or as a recent student who's just entering the field, how do we afford this trip and our registration? And so Lemoyne College here in Syracuse is working with Orchestra Careers to sponsor a certain number of scholarships for students to offset their travel to conference. So I'm happy to announce that here. You heard it here first, and Sonia's got all the details, and we'll certainly be sharing that with all of you. But I want to thank Sonia and the league. For us at Lemoyne, we are so passionate about practical experience and meeting people who are working in the field, in addition to obviously taking classes. That's what we do. But we're just excited to help students make this a reality as they're entering the field.
And then Heather, why don't you tell us a little bit about what our hopes are for the last day of the constituency?
Of course. And before we jump to day 3, on day 2, the other thing that we haven't mentioned is that, through our partners at Carnegie Mellon University's Heinz College, they'll be speaking to us a bit about, like an arts management 101, how to put together, how do orchestras and other performing arts organizations put together a really thoughtful season of events. So we're excited for that. And so on that last day, that Friday, June 16th, we're going to be spending a lot of time both looking ahead to the future of orchestras. Simon Woods, the president and CEO of the League of American Orchestras, will come and speak with us and just share his intersection of youth within the League of American Orchestras' new strategic framework, which will launch at conference. What he sees as opportunities and challenges that are facing orchestras today and what he foresees for the future. And just, he wants not only to share things with you, but he wants to hear from you all, how can we support you? Because you are the next generation of orchestra leaders. So I know last year we were, I personally was shocked that Simon stepped in. He spent way more time with our group than we even anticipated. But one thing that came out of it was that he actually used a quote from our student constituency in his closing speech. And just to show that, he's really listening, he cares, the league truly cares about the future of orchestras, not just what's happening today. So that'll be an interesting conversation. And then we'll kind of, hopefully have a little bit of time as a student constituency to reflect on our 3-day experience together. How are we all going to stay connected? Not only do we do this, 3-day really intense professional development conference each June, but, throughout the year as student members of the league, we have Zoom programming for you all. So we definitely want to reflect on what we've experienced at conference. What should we be planning for the upcoming season with you all in that Zoom format, because we want to support you any way we can. We want to help you get connected to those professionals or those orchestras that you're really inspired by, or places that you really want to live, or get your first orchestra role at. And the last thing we are also hoping to do on the 3rd day is give you an opportunity to kind of choose your own adventure and sit in on a conversation that's happening in one of the, professional constituencies of your choice. So we're working to put together some options for you, and hopefully we'll be able to announce that very soon. Everything that we have shared about our student constituency plans, again, that's 2 hours on day 1, 2 hours on day 2, 2 hours on day 3. The official agendas will be put on the website later in April. So definitely keep checking back at leagueconference.org/students for more detailed information. Mm-hmm. Does anyone have any questions about the 6 hours of programming we have for our group? All right. So let's move along to the benefits of coming to conference. I know some of you have already been and plan to be with us again. Some of you will be first timers, and we are just thrilled to meet you in person in Pittsburgh. So Sonia, do you want to kind of share with us what do you see as the benefits of coming?
Yeah, well, you're already our colleagues, right? Is the way I see it. Just because you don't have your diploma in hand doesn't matter. You are the director of marketing in 2027. You are the CEO of 2035. So that's really important mindset, I think, for us as professionals to have. And we're excited to welcome you as soon as we can to this industry and the conferences where we get to gather. I just find it a really exciting time because you think about it, there's only one orchestra in every town for the most part. So a lot of times we're the only ones doing the work that we're doing in the town where we are. So it's kind of the one time a year where we really get together, and it's kind of emotional support groups to some degree, but just meeting your peers across the nation who love orchestras and love this work is a really inspiring, encouraging, and empowering experience. But I wonder, Kirsten, I would love to just ask you a question. Like, you came to conference, what would be some tips that you would have for the group on how to maximize that experience? And then Sarah, I know you were there too, if you're thinking about that. But Kirsten, what would be one thing you could express for people to think about if they're coming to conference?
Yeah, I think just being open to any and all experiences at conference, and most of all, being open to just starting conversations with anyone. I mean, I think someone said there's over 900 people that go to this conference, and you already have one thing in common with every one of those people is this, passion for orchestras. And so people are so excited that students are coming to this event, and they're so excited to talk to students. And you can literally just walk up to anyone and start a conversation, introduce yourself, and they'll be so happy to talk to you and answer questions. And I think that's one of the most impactful parts of the conference, is just getting to talk to people and connect and learn as much as you can about the industry and what people are doing. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sarah,
just kind of build on that, like connecting with people closer to the conference date. Usually, I believe in around late May, on the conference website, there will be, I think, like a weekly PDF of who's coming to conference. So you can start to look up each individual person, what orchestra they're with, what their role is, and you can start to kind of make your short list of people that you really want to connect with, whether it's during one of the coffee breaks or at the tune-up party, or perhaps you want to just shoot that person a quick email and say, hey, would you like to go for a walk or grab tea some afternoon during conference? I'd really love to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. So definitely use that resource.
Yes, Sarah, I remember us talking about how you followed up with folks after conference.
Our modern technology.
Oh. Sorry.
I just want to build on what Heather said, that we have a conference app, and through the conference app, you can also message any of the delegates as well. And so that will have all the schedule in the palm of your hand and your smartphone, but also the ability to be in touch with different conference delegates and each other as well.
Sarah, really quickly, I remember us having talks about your list of people you were going to contact after conference. Did you feel like that was a helpful experience to be able to just start those conversations even afterwards?
Yeah, definitely. It was extremely helpful. People were so generous with giving contact information. I almost had more to work with than I knew what to do with. I totally agree with what Kirsten said. To me, it was a matter of, and what Travis was saying earlier about hearing how people got into this field. It wouldn't really matter who you're talking to. It's like there's always something to learn that you would never have thought to ask if you just ask people questions and listen to where they're coming from. And yes, usually everybody I talked to was willing to follow up. They would offer to, didn't even have to be asked, and were super helpful when they did follow up. So yes, the benefits definitely carried over after conference for me.
Alexis, I'm curious, do you have anything to add from your experience and why you want to come back? Oh, you're still. Sorry.
She says in the chat that she can't talk, that her roommate is on the phone.
Oh, okay. Well, you can.
We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time. But clearly you want to come back. So hopefully you had a good experience.
And you can always write in the chat as well, Alexis, and we can relay what you're writing to everyone.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, I think that building community is one of the best things that we can do out of an event like this, make connections that we maintain and grow throughout the year. So this is a great launch pad for so much, including your career. So I hope that hope we've sold it enough. Like, I think it's going to be so great and it's super fun. And Pittsburgh's my hometown. I'm a Pittsburgh girl, so it's a beautiful place to gather.
You can wear your black and gold and really fit in.
All right. So, from Alexis, it's a great opportunity to make connections and see trends in other cities. I absolutely agree. Every community is a little different. Every orchestra is a little different, but we do still have so much in common, and so many of the same struggles and goals. So, thank you for sharing that.
And I'll say that when I went to my first conference 31 years ago, there was no student track like this. There was no agendas. There was no league staff supporting my attendance at the conference. But I knew the executive director of my hometown orchestra, and I knew he was attending the conference. And so he sort of became my conference buddy. And so if you do know other orchestra professionals, particularly maybe from your hometown orchestra or your college town orchestra, that comes to the conference, that would be a great person to start networking with, even prior to Pittsburgh, and to get connected with in person in Pittsburgh as well.
And just to echo what David was saying, when I started going to conference, likewise, there was no student constituency or, professional development track for students. I feel like every year that I do attend conference, it's a reunion. You meet people that you worked with 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and you've all gone to different orchestras and different organizations, but you still have so much in common. And it's so great to see everyone. So now I wanted to make sure you all were aware of some special offers that the League and our partners have put together for students that are attending this conference. First of all, if you are a League student member, you have the opportunity to come to conference for free. It's definitely a first come, first serve situation, as we do have an upper limit. But I know last year, we went over our limit, and we financed ways to get every single student that wanted to attend conference in for free. For this year, the free program is being offered through April 27th, or when we no longer have any more free registration. After that, the registration fee will be $200. We are also working with our partners at the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra to, get really affordable tickets for that concert that's happening on Wednesday nights, because it is such a hallmark of the conference experience, and we want you to, be able to participate in it fully. But that being said, regardless of whether you choose to come to the Wednesday evening performance or not, your conference badge will get you into that tune-up party that begins at 9:30. So the choice is yours. Usually a lot of constituencies, after we have our constituency meetings that end at 5:30, for a lot of the constituencies, they'll do a constituency dinner between, during that dinner break before the concert starts. So I know last year we had some really great meals as a group, and I'm sure we'll be putting together some more. I think we already talked about the travel that Sonia, you and Travis are putting together a bit.
Yeah, but I think just I know it's probably on your mind as a student, like, oh my gosh, how much is this going to cost? Like 3 days in a hotel or an Airbnb. I don't know anybody. And we really want to try to break down as many barriers as we possibly can to get you here. And so what I would urge you to do first, though, is even if you're a little bit interested, and you don't have to register today, but if you're out of college, go talk to your advisor, find a really knowledgeable faculty member who maybe would know about funding that's available to you as a student on your campus for professional development, for travel grants, whatever. They might be called lots of different things, I don't know. But I would really urge you to start that process now to see what funds might be available to you to come, because a lot of campuses do things like that. And then if you're like, yep, I'm going no matter what, I'm trusting it's going to work out somehow. What we'll try to do too is, as we build up the student members who are coming to conference, we're going to try to find ways to connect everyone. And if there's maybe roommate situations or, room sharing or Airbnbs or hotels, we're going to help to try to figure out how you can get connected ahead of time. And maybe, whether you're from the same school or you have a mutual friend or whatever, we'll try to help you navigate through that process. And then, like I said, stay tuned. I'll probably post in League 360, or if you are a subscriber to the Orchestra Careers newsletter or on our socials at all, I'm not sure, then probably in another week or two, I'll announce how to find out more about the scholarships that we're going to be offering towards hotel and travel. We'll have a limited number, but we're really excited to be able to at least offer a little bit of something to try to get you to Pittsburgh. So if you have any questions or if you're having any trouble, I'm sure you've got the league website. If you need materials or some sort of help with a proposal to your campus for those funds, please reach out. Whatever they'll need, I'll talk to anyone on the phone and tell them it's important for you to be there. So, but just let us know how we can really support you, because I think we're learning in this process as well. What are the ways we can really help to break down those barriers and make this accessible?
Absolutely, and I know, like we did last year, in May, we will send around an email to all those students that are registered for conference and start connecting with you individually, but also put together a Zoom like this so we can meet each other at least virtually before we all show up in Pittsburgh. And one of the great things that came out of it last year was that someone literally created a little collaborative spreadsheet of when people were arriving at the airports, and people, carpooled with one another to the hotel. It was a really great resource. So I'm hoping we can get something like that again for this year.
Absolutely. I think we also started a Slack channel or something. Or text group. I don't know. We will be connected best ways that we can. But please don't, if you're at all interested in coming, reach out, and we're going to do our best to figure out a way for you to be able to come.
Absolutely. So I think that is kind of the end of everything we wanted to share with you. So we want to open things up and see if any of you have any questions. If there were any tips for those of you that were with us last year that you forgot to share earlier that you wanted to share with the group, now would be a great time.
Go ahead first.
So I just had a quick question. I noticed in the programming for the conference that there were some things called elective. I just was wondering, what sort of things or talks are involved within those electives, and more or less what the idea looks like.
I was going to grab that.
The electives. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Sonia.
I was just going to grab that link to the full schedule. If you're on the website and you go to the drop down and it says full schedule, then there's descriptions of everything. And what David was showing was kind of the overview.
Yeah, and the elective sessions are truly elective. People can elect to attend them, and we have 5 per time block. So you choose one of the 5. But we hope to be able to provide recordings, all of them, after the conference is over, particularly of the big general sessions as well.
Okay,
and just to say, during those elective blocks, there's 2 elective blocks, one on Thursday, one on Friday. And during those time periods, there's 5 simultaneous electives that you can choose from. So there's a total of 10.
So what you might do in your constituency group is divide and conquer, so that maybe 1 or 2 students can decide to go to each of the electives and then report out about what the key takeaways from electives, so that everyone can hear what happens at all the electives in your constituency meetings.
And just examples of 2 of them, one that David had mentioned that Sonia is putting together, which is students in 2043, because you are the future leaders in 2043 that will inherit our art form and decide its future. So that's what that session is going to be about. I'm also producing an elective on equity, diversity, and inclusion orchestras. And that one will be happening on Thursday. So that's just two examples of awesome programming that's happening.
Well, I know this is a lot of information to digest, and hopefully you're not too overwhelmed, but more just excited to explore some more. Kirsten, I wonder if I might just pick on you for one more minute, because you have such an amazing story in the last year. Would you mind just sharing, like, kind of what the impact of finding out this thing called conference, having the courage to go, and, you know, the path afterwards, what that's meant to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in college, I graduated in 2022, so just under a year ago. And I never really knew, well, I always knew I wanted to work in music, but I never knew exactly where I wanted to be within the music industry. And then that's when I got connected with Sonia and found out about the conference. And, you know, it just felt like I'd finally found a place where I wanted to be and an industry I wanted to work in. And so being able to go to this conference, it was so eye-opening just to see that there were so many people who, just like me, wanted to be working for an orchestra, you know, people who were passionate about the orchestra and about music. And it was at that conference actually last year that I networked with some people and ended up getting my first job, which is out actually in Oregon. And so it was crazy that, you know, just by having conversations with people, I was able to connect and learn from people and essentially land a job, you know, my first job, which then, you know, ended up with me getting my second job. You know, just it seems like the conference is such a great catalyst just for learning and for connecting and really getting a head start into this industry. And I don't have enough words to describe how awesome it is just to learn and meet people and really dive into the industry through this conference. It's so impactful, especially for students just starting out and trying to learn as much as they can. So yeah,
Well,
it's a really cool experience.
Thank you, Kirsten. And you all are brave and courageous to do this, you know, and so whatever dose of courage you might need to come and join us at conference, I'm giving it to you now. So please just take the step, and we'll make sure that you have a great experience. There's going to be a lot of people for you to lean on and get to know. And honestly, by the second day, you're going to be just fine. And everybody just, that was a great thing to see last year, Heather, where it was like by the second day, I was like, oh, they're going to be fine. They've got their way. And it was really wonderful to watch as well. So congratulations to Kirsten and Sarah and Alexis, all of you who have taken the step once. Please encourage your friends to take that step as well.
Absolutely. And on the leagueconference.org/students, there is a flyer that you could share, you know, via social media, or you could share with all your friends and those in your network who you think might be interested in conference to, you know, just give them the opportunity that they might not even know exists. I know when I was a student, like, I didn't know that the league conference was open to students. So it wasn't until I was, you know, in my first role in a performing arts organization where I was like, what is this thing, that I could have been, you know, meeting others that, you know, have those same passions, that, you know, are doing exactly what I want to be doing in 2, 5, 10 years. So definitely keep tabs on that leagueconference.org/students. We're going to have much more detailed information coming up. We will also post the recording of this video there, as well as on the League student membership page. So for any of your friends that weren't able to be with us today, or those that you didn't think of until after this event is over, definitely share, you know, these resources with them, because we do want to grow the student constituency group, and we want to get, you know, better be serving the leaders of tomorrow. So feel free to reach out to me anytime, and I would be happy to connect with you, help you connect with others, and we really hope to see you in Pittsburgh.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
See you in June.
Nice to see you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.